Dr. Timms, we made it to the end. Can you believe it?
We made it to the end, session 4.
Session 4, 2 p.m. on the East Coast. We are streaming live on a number of platforms to bring you some highlights from Johnson City Schools there in Tennessee. Dr. Timms has really organized a fantastic day. We started with the counselors. We did a little world languages. Then we had a great session with wellness and fitness and some PE teachers there. Just absolutely great. And now we get to hang out with my favorite topic. I'm biased. It's because that's what I taught. It's just part of me. It's ingrained in me. Career and tech ed. And this is honestly something I'm not sure gets a lot of attention, which is just breaks my heart. But I saw the impact directly on what Canvas was doing for career and tech educators. And there isn't anything that I love more than just hanging out with career and tech ed people, talking about how this tool creates a large impact among those students that are working towards those career skills or workforce development. And I couldn't be happier that this was one of the selections that we had when we decided on sessions, Dr. Timms.
Absolutely. And I know they're the last group of the day, but truly, I think sometimes in our district, you know, when we've talked a lot about English, math, science, social studies, and we've seen a lot of different departments today. But this group at our CTE Center has truly taken Canvas and done things with it that, you know, a lot of us who come from the gen ed background never would have thought of. So I think it's a great way to really cap the day in showcasing what's going on in Johnson City.
And there's a robot in this session. If anybody hasn't noticed, I mean, come on. If you have not tried to share this with as many people as you could, the robot is now moving. It's responding. I don't know what's happening, but we're going to let Mike really take over and give you a little bit about what's been happening in the CTE world there in Johnson City. So Mike, Jeff, Heather, thank you so much for being a part of this. Again, if you are watching, make sure to send us a comment. Let us know where you're at and who you are. If you have questions along the way, we'll be sure to interject and ask them and hopefully get some great feedback from these great CTE educators in Johnson City. Mike, you're up, man. It's your turn. Let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks first to Instructure and yourself, Dr. Timms, for the confidence he's bestowed on us to have a presentation and represent the CTE department at Science Hill High School. Wow, what a challenge it was a year ago to think that we were going to put all of our lesson plans and instructions that we had for this hands-on course to make it a virtual classroom. You talking about pulling your hair out, you know. Of course, I really didn't have to worry about that. I don't have a lot of hair, but there's been a lot of tears and a lot of sweat that our, I guess, our peeps, we'll call them, that actually have put into making Canvas great. I mean, we've learned a great deal about Canvas and the ins and outs and how it works. And I guess you consider Heather, Jeff, and myself, we were kind of the go-to guys and gals. If someone had a question, then they would come to us and we would have to stop what we were doing and go help them. But we all came together and we were all in. We had a hashtag JCS All In. The CTE department had a hashtag. We were all in, and we didn't necessarily have to tweet it out, but we were down here every day in our department working hard trying to make this the best we can. We kind of, I think from the other presentations, we kind of went in another direction because in a high school environment, it's not so much having Bitmojis and having cartoons and all that. Not to say that that's bad, because you have to engage the students. And, you know, you can know all the technology, but, you know, just using the technology that you know well, I think that best benefits your students. So I want to thank Heather for helping with the presentation, and Jeff as well. They'll be chiming in here just in a minute as we get started. And I also want to introduce you to our topper robot. He or she does not have a specific name, but we're just going to call him, not being gender specific, we're just going to call him TR. So TR, thanks for joining us. So our next slide. it's just a little collage of what we have in store for you. So YouTube and Canvas Studio, and thank goodness Dr. Tim's got us hooked up with Canvas Studio early in the school year of 2020-2021, and we were able to utilize Canvas Studio rather well, I thought. A lot of teachers created their own videos. They went out, they've actually learned how to edit videos, how to add text, how to stop, how to actually make a video, an instructional-led video, to where it's more conducive to the student, not only to the student, but also to a fellow teacher that would want to use it. So the collaboration that we have that Canvas Studio creates for us is great because we have multiple teachers teaching the same subject such as health science. So the health science teachers really collaborated with Canvas Studio, and that made it great. Also, GoPros, the GoPros, our construction core, welding, and our automotive or transportation and logistics instructors actually went above and beyond, which you'll see a little bit later on in our presentation, of how the utilization of GoPros really gets these students involved, and that's what it's about. If they're not engaged and not involved, then we've lost them from the get-go. And creating a virtual world, wow. For a CTE class was a challenge, but I think we've met that challenge. Jeff, Heather, you guys have anything you'd like to?
If you have the ability to get a GoPro camera to use, it's very flexible on what you can use it for. There's several different ways you can mount it. It has a very clear picture. It's especially good for if you're trying to share things with a class, like setting up a machine where they have to look at detail. It's an excellent platform for using that.
And as far as Canvas Studio for my course, it was a lifesaver, being able to, record my videos and then with the studio edit them. And then I was also given the opportunity with my students, they were able to use it. And when I couldn't be with them in person, they could submit their assignments and, at a convenient time for them. And then I could go back and watch them and give them good feedback. So I used it kind of with the students as well as myself being recorded.
Not only, I think I just want to chime in here, not only is it a fantastic way, especially for career and tech ed teachers, to use things like the GoPro, and Heather's example were fantastic. I know that we had a lot of educators we had a tablet that had a camera on it. That was able to use Canvas Studio directly from the tablet. So, instead of having another device or something they had to worry about, where do I put this file? How do I edit it? They could do it right from their phone. We had a lot of people with their cell phones, culinary teachers that would put the cell phone, up on the top shelf while they were working below, filming a studio video. I know from my experience, and Mike, you guys can talk about it as well. Without Canvas Studio, I'm not sure how jazzed I could get career and tech ed teachers about using Canvas. But the piece that really that they love, the piece that really I think increases the interaction of the tool is that Canvas Studio piece. Would you guys agree?
100%, yes.
Yeah.
And just to add, the editing feature for Canvas Studio, it's so elementary, but yet it's so professional in a way as well, because you can edit. You can clip, you can cut, you can add text overlays, which makes it easy. If the software is too intuitive to where it's too overwhelming, let's face it, CTE teachers are not going to do it. They'll just say, give me a piece of paper and I'll just write it down for you.
Right.
So the editing aspect from the developers, from you guys from Canvas Studio is spot on. You guys hit it right on the nail.
We appreciate that. Yeah, I love it. It was my favorite tool. In fact, before I ever became an employee of Canvas, when I was actually using it as a customer, I created a studio hype video. I was so excited about it. And Mike, you could probably relate to this as an audio video production teacher, constantly looking for that next best thing, right? To
Eddie, that video is one of the videos that sold us on Studio.
Hey, listen, I was doing the job before I had the job.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, honestly, I just knew that it was one of those tools like Mike described. It's easy enough that educators could use it. It was right after, well, it was probably a year after I had done the Innovator Academy with Google, and had the chance to hear from people that were making decisions about YouTube and said, there will be no more YouTube editor. And educators are like, they wanted to strangle this guy because that was just such a cool tool for educators. Very simple, very easy. They could integrate video into the classroom. You know, I'm a guy that just firmly believes that anytime you use video in your class as an educator, it increases engagement, like period, full stop. I don't like to, you know, get into any semantics or an argument about it. Like, that's it. You put video in a course, kids are going to watch it. They're used to it. It's natural for them to be able to watch these things. So I love that. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just always love to geek out on studio content because it is probably one of the coolest tools that we provide, and a tool that if you're not taking advantage of it, especially at the CTE level, you got to inquire about it because it does enhance what you're doing.
Here's an example of a Canvas Studio instructional-led video that was created by Miss Salyer, our computer apps instructor. She's actually going through formatting in MLA, and it's a lengthy video, but we're going to show you just a snippet of it to give you an example of what we're talking about Canvas Studio.
In today's screencast, I'm going to walk you through formatting an MLA report. The header and footer group will select page numbers. An MLA report format specifies that the page number always goes in the header, which is above the top margin. Footer, by the way, is below the bottom margin. But in an MLA report, the page number always goes at the right in the header.
Ease of the screen capture and the actual live editing that you can do with Canvas Studio. I think just about all of our CTE instructors use Canvas Studio. Very few do not that I'm aware of, but great tool. It's a must know to make a better an assignment or module or discussion for your Canvas. Using teacher created videos. This was also Kayla Clausen. She's our healthcare instructor. This is another example of Canvas Studio, and I think this is a minute video that's.
Hello, students. I'm going to demonstrate how to put on gloves and how to take them off properly in a healthcare setting. Now, I have 1 and 2 patients room. I have provided some type of care in which my gloves have become soiled. So before leaving that patient's room, I need to.
With Canvas Studio, it actually allows you to set your camera and forget it more or less, and go ahead and present your hands-on instruction for the students so that they get a clear video and representation and presentation of what your expectations are for that particular lesson.
I think that one was taken with a laptop, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, this was done with a laptop, this recording.
So we went, not we, but a couple of teachers that went above and beyond. So with COVID, you know that in CTE, we would have field trips, and we were able to take the students out to the actual job sites. Well, with COVID, this thing has happened. We've had to create virtual field trips. Brent Sluter, our welding instructor, went to a company called JD Squared. and by the way, the collaboration with local companies, your local businesses, from an educator standpoint, this just makes our job even better, because if we know that we're teaching them the skills to pay the bills in the real world, hey, if you want a good employee, then if we can teach them the right skills, and you allow us to come on your business to create a virtual field trip, I mean, how much better is that? So building a collaborative relationship with our local businesses at the CTE high school level, this has just opened a lot of doors, and I can't commend Brent enough for this. And also, we have another video. We have another video shortly, but here's a short little snippet of Brent at
Hey, I'm
JD
Brent
Squared.
Squared. I'm a welding teacher at Science Hill High School. I'd like to welcome you guys to JD Squared, a local industry that sells worldwide plasma tables and tubing benders. Stick around and we'll take you on a tour. This guy behind me is fabbing up a stainless steel tank for one of their plasma tables. This is kind of their research and development area where they try to come up with new ideas. They've got tubing cutters, plasma tubing cutters. They've got CNC math series plasma table, all kinds of good stuff here. This is some of the parts that they fab up from completely scratch out of solid material. They've been powder coated and everything and made them look to their.
So Mike, quick question. As we move forward past the pandemic, and Jeff, Heather, chime in too, how much of this type of innovation do you think we'll continue to use in CTE with something like a virtual field trip to be embedded for kids?
Well, that's what I was thinking, is once you have done all of this, you have it forever, and it's going to be readily available. And I think for me, I have a laboratory with the preschoolers, so I have some stuff where, I can go down there and work with the children and then record it and share it back in my class. I have it for those situations. If I have a child that has to be out or a student that needs to be out, we have it readily available, and I would just keep embedding it in my program, somewhere as enrichment or extended facilitated learning.
I used to have. Oh, go ahead.
A lot of times these industries, it's almost a disruption for a large group of young people to come in. And to be honest, they're there to make a living. And this is a great way to have a field trip. I mean, you're avoiding the complications of the permission forms and feeding them lunch and all this other stuff. And they're going to get just as much exposure on something like this as if they went there physically. Now, ideally, they would go to the business. But again, I think you'd be more welcome as an instructor going to an industry if you came by yourself, for instance.
Yeah, I love this. I love the virtual field trip idea. And that is something that just worn itself out of the pandemic, right? We can't take our kids any longer. So what's going to happen, right? Where can we do and where can we go? And I love that this has come out of that, and it will stick, especially with career and tech ed teachers. Julia here on YouTube says, Dr. Tim's virtual.
That's our CTE director, Eddie. So she has spoken. They're staying. Yeah,
she's fired up. And then you've got Christina here that says, my CTE glow is huge right now. The JCS CTE educators didn't skip a beat. They embraced technology, kept rolling out instruction to ensure student learning was on point. A lot of cheerleaders here for career and tech ed, which I love to see. But yeah, I don't know about you, Mike, but I know when I was doing my thing with career and tech ed teachers as a CTE innovation coach and having the background in audio video production, I remember the first experience, a teacher came to me and said, make me a YouTube star, right? And I was like, no, absolutely, you should be, because your students are going to get excited about that. They're going to see you on camera. There is something valuable and so impactful about seeing Brent here taking the initiative, going out on his own and giving a virtual tour on his time to make sure the students are still exposed to those realities. I'm grinning ear to ear. I got goosebumps halfway through the session, so we know it's going to be a good one.
Well, I mean, as we look around, we see that even our elementary teachers use videos to teach with. And as they grow, as students grow and they continue to learn with videos. I mean, what better way to implement something that's going to be educational, not even more to them to just watch a video, but have a video that shows them, hey, this is what's available out there for me to learn these skills. I need to learn this in high school. And I mean, at Science Hill, we offer a lot of programs that these students really need to take advantage of. And for us to be able to have these virtual field trips, that just showcases that even further. So it's a win-win for the virtual field trips. In this video, this is a video that Mr. Clevin is going to expound on here, but this is a video that he created using Canvas Studio, and it demonstrates how to do a voltage drop test. Mr. Clevin.
I'm going to run me it first.
Good morning, guys. Today I'm going to show you a procedure on how to do a voltage drop test on both the positive and negative side of a starter circuit. There, where those wires hook up to the starter motor itself. And I'm going to hook it up there. And what this does, this is going to tell me what the resistance of this big heavy cable that comes from the battery comes down here and comes down to the starter. We're going to make sure we don't have any resistance or very low resistance. I'm going to come up back over here to the scope, the voltmeter rather, and I'm going to hit reset on our min-max feature, okay? You'll also notice I've taken it out of auto range and I put it in plus or minus 4 volts. And I did that because I didn't want it jumping around while I'm making this measurement. Now I've disabled the ignition system and also the fuel system so it won't start. I'm going to use our remote starter to crank the engine. And what we're going to do is we're going to just crank it for about 5 seconds. All right. And again, we're going to take advantage of the fact.
This was actually created using the GoPro camera. The thing I like about this, as far as demonstrating a process to the students, is if I've got a room full of students, 15, 20 students, and I'm trying to demonstrate something underneath the hood of a car, for instance, or like I'm trying to demonstrate how to set up a brake lathe or something like that, the 3 or 4 people in the front are going to see what I'm doing. Everybody in the back is either going to be distracted, not paying attention. And what I like about this is I can actually create a video. I can either show it in the classroom or I can take it out into the shop and show it there. And everybody in the room then is engaged and they can see the actual procedures you have to go through to do this process. Also, if I want to create a hands-on test for it, they can use it as a review feature. That's another great thing about Canvas Studio. Even when I was looking at Marcia Salyer's presentation, her students could check back on that and review how to do a process, and it helps to reinforce the learning.
This is another field trip, if you can say, or on location created video from our construction core instructors, Robert Tester and Rich Murray. And this is a new construction home that they are building from the foundation up. And I think they're covering foundation and how the importance of foundations and how this is essential in building. And basically, even in life, if you don't have a good foundation, then you could be shifting on sand. But let's watch a little bit of this.
Okay, here's a part of the footer, and we're following the lay of the land. There's another bulkhead, and the foundation wall is being laid up with 12-inch blocks. And one interesting thing to note is you can see how the 2 courses of block have been laid to where it meets the top of the next layer.
Something like this. And this means the inside is flush. In other words, from the inside, I couldn't tell which one's 8 and which one's 12. And so
here, give you all a better view.
Yeah, let me lay another one here so you can see. Okay, so I can keep those flush, and on the inside, it'll look all the same. When I use the word flush, that means even. But on the outside, I have a 4-inch ledge. Now on this 4-inch ledge here, I can now lay brick. Brick.
And how they offset a 12-inch and an 8-inch block to create a brick ledge to actually brick a house. Now, you could do that in school or a hands-on presentation in class, but to create that in a virtual classroom, these guys did this with an iPad, I believe. So this wasn't done with a GoPro, but it was done with an iPad.
So Jeff, again, I just want to chime in with a question.
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but with what you do and with what we just saw Robbie and them doing, yeah, thank you, Richard, doing, what role do you think video will play moving forward, even when we're back to in-person instruction?
Well, again, your flexibility of going to an actual job site, going to an actual shop, what I call a real shop, or even when you're demonstrating a procedure, removing gloves, setting up a voltage drop test, setting up a brake lathe. Again, you're getting past this where the people in front can see what's going on, they're engaged, the people in back are poking at their phones and talking to everybody, and they're not paying attention. And this is just a great way to keep everybody on task. And I also think the review feature of it is a great addition to the program.
And Eddie, I asked that, it was sort of a loaded question because I get questions from my colleagues in other districts that are considering Canvas, and they think it's just for science, math, social studies, and English at the high school level. And if this doesn't sell it for CTE, I don't know what.
I know it, and it's I've always said it's such an easy sell because I have seen it. I've seen it in real life on the impact that it can create. Video alone, and we've spent a lot of time on video, which is great, but they just, once you have a chance to see those students, because a lot of these opportunities, like you just said, Mike and Jeff and Heather, a lot of these opportunities, what happens is that the students aren't engaged during the lab, or they're distracted, or they can't see. You got a class of 30 kids trying to, hover over a motor. It's hard for them to see exactly what the instructor's trying to show, or exactly what's happening in the learning environment. That can happen in any classroom. Like, think about that. In an English class, out of the 30 students that you might have, how many of them are actually engaged and just all in on the assignment? So for those students that may have missed and need a little bit of remediation, Canvas can be a great place to float these resources in as video content. And that's where we saw a lot of engagement. Think about a CTE teacher that has a sub. Man, CTE teachers, I don't know. What do they have to? They're just going to sit there. Well, not if you've created a video. They're going to learn from you in the classroom on their digital device, and they're going to learn while they're at home or on their own time. Especially now with COVID, that's super important. So I'm so glad you brought that up. That's fantastic.
TR, what do you think about that? Oh,
TR's timed out.
Oh, he must have timed out. So
TR's taking a nap.
Now we're going to briefly just touch on the LTIs, and that's learning tools, interoperability. That's a hard word to say, but we're not showcasing the so-called the applications here. What we're showcasing is the interactivity, the ability to embed different learning platforms, different engaging platforms, instructional-led platforms into Canvas, and how easy it is. A year ago, it was kind of difficult to do this, but within the last year, Canvas has really came on board and made this just point and click, and it's almost there. Especially with Google, even with Flipgrid and Nearpod, even Hapara and Learn 360. So all of those are great different learning tools, because let's face it, all students don't learn the same and don't learn the same way. Having students with IEPs and 504s, hey, you have to go out and you as a teacher, you have to modify your lesson plans and structure to where that student gets the best out of that particular lesson plan. Heather, would you like to take Learn 360?
So I use Learn 360 as well as Canvas Studio. My own, video recordings of me giving lecture or the students sending me Canvas Studio videos, and then of course, virtual field trips. But for me, Learn 360 is super easy to integrate in Canvas through the LTI, and it provides me a chance to use, professional educational videos and just embed them right in for remediation, for extra. If the student has extra questions or little snippets or clips of important information that cover that one specific standard. So for me, I really enjoyed the ease of it. For me, it's seamless, and my students really know, when they go into Canvas, they know exactly where to go and find the information. And I like how it was embedded, how I'm able to pick these LTIs and put them in there.
We also have Flipgrid. This is just a Flipgrid assignment that I have for the students. And the topic is, what if there was no technology tomorrow? And it goes on. And the good thing about Flipgrid, that it allows you to get not just a handwritten response back, it allows you to get an audio video response back from the students, what they really feel about this particular lesson plan or lesson, and particularly for my class, it teaches them how to create their text for a particular project, or how to do a split screen and read from a teleprompter while they are actually recording. So there's a couple of different little advantages for using Flipgrid, but I like it in my class, and I think Heather uses it or is going to start using it, and I'm not sure about Mr. Cleveland, but some of the other CTE teachers use it. It's a very cool little video about technology. I know it's, whoops. We've all probably been here where this guy's going. And maybe not. So we'll carry on. Using Hapara gives the students just a little different view of how a lesson can be presented to them. I really like Hapara because you can differentiate your learning aspect or group the kids, sorry, I should say students. Group our students into different groups so that we can assign them different parts of a lesson. Now, how is that beneficial? Because each group can work on a particular lesson or a different part, and then we all come together at the end of that lesson, put all the pieces, parts together, and create that actual product. Hapara is great. Or is a good tool for that simply because of the workspace feature from Hapara. Websites, wow, if it wasn't for the World Wide Web, where would we be? Websites are becoming more frequent, and they are the resource and the backbone of the CTE, and I'm sure for a lot of educational institutes, we have to have websites to get our all of our learning and all of our teaching material from. We actually teach web design, or used to, but having websites is just essential and beneficial for any teacher, especially in Canvas. The ease of embedding them with just a link and having them accessible for any lesson plan and or discussion. We haven't talked about discussion board a lot in Canvas, but we do use that quite often. Jeff, Heather, you guys have anything on websites?
I know, for instance, today my first year program had to determine the cost of ownership of a vehicle over a 3-year time period. And we have to rely on a lot of different websites and to find out the cost of vehicles, the cost of fuel over the 3 years, and things of this nature. And these students have grown up with this technology. They're very comfortable with it. They know they can jump on there and find something on the web really quick. You can also, for instance, on my lesson, what I do is I put the links in there that I know that will work inside of our filtering software, so they don't have to hunt around to find things. but it just makes it very easy for them to find the information quickly and put something together.
And just to echo what Jeff said, there's a lot of things in my program that I need extra resources to, and being able to link those websites into Canvas and specifically for the students, they know where to go to find it, and get the extra material that is required for their standards.
Using Google Slides, again, I think this is a slide or a lesson from Ms. Clausen. She used Google Slides to create a virtual job fair activity. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see the different jobs or professions. And then on the right, you'll see that a student has selected number 2, occupational therapist. And then she has linked a website and details about the career. And then there's a video that they would watch, and then a form that they would fill out about their perspective in that particular profession. And we're getting to the very end of the presentation, but I thought this was pretty cool. The innovation that we've had from Mr. Clevin, New Age Instructing, using all technology available, making it come together with virtual instructing innovation. He called me to his room one day, his classroom. He goes, "Hey, I've got this hooked up, and I've got this hooked up. I've got to make it all come together." So we unplugged a couple of wires and plugged a couple of wires somewhere else. And, basically, this is what he has, and I'm gonna have him explain this to you. It's very cool. We're taking the resources that we had. He is taking the resources that he had available to make a virtual classroom. Jeff?
What this was about was I was trying to do, this is during our safety presentation, and I actually borrowed the idea from another teacher on campus using a document camera. This is before we got the GoPro cameras to use, but we used the document camera to make an image of what's going on in the classroom. But he also found, using our links, that we could set it up such that I could present not only in the classroom, the students could see what was on the whiteboard, but my students that were remote could see it on their computer screens at home. So this was a great way to share that between it. And it was kind of a lash up, to be honest. You'll notice that's a jack stand from the shop that I'm using to hold the camera. And I've strung the wire through the air conditioner vent. Like I say, the word lash up comes to mind, right? But it did work. And Dr. Teams can back us up on this. He made the comment one time, we were kind of drinking from a fire hose when we first started out. So luckily it's kind of...
For sure.
Yeah, we kind of got a handle on it at this point. We like to think we have a handle on it, but I'm sure something else will come along and prompt us. But it got us all out of our, like we say, out of our comfortable place.
Well, and we, Eddie, we went from pre-pandemic to not all of our teachers at Science Hill had published Canvas courses, and we have around 150 or so staff at Science Hill High School. It's pretty large, as we've talked today. And by the end of the first week, by the end of spring break, before we came back to school, every single teacher's every course was published, and the Heathers and the Jeffs and the Mikes helped their colleagues get all those classes up and going and published. So yeah, Jeff's right. We were drinking from a fire hose, but we made it happen.
And our last slide, probably the most visited question that we would get daily. I deleted something. How do I get it back? Well, Canvas has a great feature called undelete. If you don't know it, there's the instructions. I just want to say hats off to Canvas for creating an LMS that we use on a daily basis here at CTE and to the Johnson City school system. And I just want to thank them for the opportunity to share some of our knowledge that we have created in a short time span that we are going to continue to use. We're not stopping here. We will build on this. This is more or less our foundation of our lesson plans that we're going to be creating in the future. Jeff, Heather?
Canvas has made my teaching process a whole lot smoother, and I kind of was on it before the lockdown, before the pandemic, and my kids were familiar with it. But through all of this, it's just become more advanced. And
Please pardon this interruption. the varsity baseball game.
It's a high school.
Who would have thought?
The junior varsity baseball game. The location has been moved from Royals to Cardinal Park, and the change has been moved up to 4:30. The track meet has had changes as well. It will be held at Tennessee High School at 4 p.m. Thank you.
But as I was saying, it's been more refined, and just all of the extras that I've been able to embed into my Canvas courses has allowed my students to have a much more enjoyable, enriching experience.
We've discovered that, and somebody made the observation one time, once you get your Canvas course set up, you're kind of good to go. You're set up from now on. But one thing I've noticed about mine is I go back and visit stuff I've created even a year ago. I mean, it can be refined, it can be made better.
Yeah.
There's more tools available now to us in Canvas that we can use that, and I'm not saying we're trying to entertain these students, but it's sometimes it's tough to grab their attention. And this is a great asset as far as a teaching tool for us to use.
Yeah, that is well said. We are, at some point, Marcus always has this great line. The guy I do the podcast with, Marcus Painter, this great line about like we are the ultimate entertainers, right? We have to try to engage students that are constantly distracted and have seen it all, right? On every platform. So, our goal to come in and kind of get them excited about what we're just a great segue into career and tech ed, because I do feel like these students are there because they're excited to be there, or they hope they can make this a career one day. So you guys should be commended every day for what you do. And all the educators that we've talked to today, all the educators that have joined us in the audience, Dr. David Timms, we've put on a fantastic day, I think. Mike, Jeff, Heather, before we let you go, are you cool with me sharing the link to our viewers for your presentation so they can have that?
Yes, it's in the bottom on the very last slide, the undelete slide.
Got it.
Link, and sure, you're more than welcome to share it.
Yeah, I have shared it out over our comments section, so people that watch this on the recording can have access to that as well. So thank you very much for doing that. And Dr. Timms, like I said, we have finished out our
It's been a good day in Johnson City.
It has been a fantastic day in Johnson City. Wow, I am just full of excitement and energy, ready to tackle next week and the week after with all of this excitement for what you guys are doing in Canvas. So thank you very much for allowing us to talk to your teachers and being a part of the broadcast today. It's been fantastic having you on as well. All right, so that's it. We have finished our digital showcase with Johnson City Schools for today. We'll have all of the content. It's been recorded. It's been put back on the platforms, and we'll be sharing it out over the next week. If you missed anything, be sure to check us out, share, like, retweet, all of the things for Canvas LMS. The Canvas fam has been very strong today in all of the comments and sections. Guys, thank you so much. We're getting a lot of feedback already, and we can't wait to see you in our next live stream coming soon.